Hey there, welcome to the video. My name is Marcus, and I blow glass. It's pretty rainy here in British Columbia, where I live, and so I figured I would do a demo for you guys. Today we're going to be working on a Wrap and Rake, and I kind of just went with the flow with this one, so it's a little bit different than normal. We'll see what happens. I've got some 38mm tubing, but you could use any size tubing for this. And if you're just starting out, I recommend smaller. I've got some experimental green here, but any color will do. We're going to get a lot of the rod hot, get the tip the hottest, make our connection, and start twisting away from us with our piece of glass below our rod in the flame. And I'm not trying to go too fast here or too crazy. You know, we're just going for a nice even line. When you get really good at this, maybe you can go quite quick, but for the sake of this demo, I just wanted to show how slow and controlled you can be. There you go. Now you really want to cook these in right away, and you also want to make sure that your tube is nice and hot before you even go to apply that. You want to really bake in all that color. Take your time with it. And I'm going to add a little bit of air here because the tube starts to condense on itself. Okay, so we're going to rake the lines. Now, I'm going to use a piece of 7mm rod, but you can use a tungsten pick or, well, actually those are basically just the two options. I like the rod for the sake of a demo and starting out because it's quite easy. You know, maybe you're going to leave a little bit of clear there, but we're not going for perfect. This is just about trying something out and seeing what happens. So you want to get the whole surface pretty hot, and then slowly drag that rod over top of those colored lines. And I like to keep most of it in the flame while I do that. Hey there, hope you're enjoying the video. I'm taking a walk because it's beautiful, taking a break from editing. Yeah, I just figured I'd drop in here and say if you're liking it, maybe subscribe to the channel if you want. You can also like the video or share it to friends. If you really want to support, I've got a Patreon. You can head over there and check that out. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, check it out if you want. Now back to the video. Happy melting. Looking pretty good. This back and forth flashing motion helps get the whole thing hot. And then make a really small connection with the tip of that rod and drag it down in the flame. I'm going to sharpen up that rod a little bit, heat it up, and get it ready for the next line. You can see there I kind of messed up, just go back in, no big deal. Give it a puff if it starts to fall down. And then keeping that flame just right ahead of where you're drawing that line. Looking pretty good. We'll do one more just to fill up that space. Keep the flame ahead, drag the line through. You want to keep the whole piece hot during this process. You don't want those back ends where you've got little humps of glass after you've, drug that out. You don't want those to get cold because they will quicker than the rest of the piece. So we're going to pop a hole in the tip and attach a handle to the other side. I've got my graphite reamer here. just a piece of graphite. We're going to use that to open that up. This is some 12mm blow tube. We're just going to open that up as well. I'm just sliding that on that graphite, just trying to make it a little bit more even. All right, looks pretty good. We can get them both white hot, make our connection, take it out of the flame, and then pull. Looking good. All right, we're gonna melt off our original handle there. Nothing too fancy, just rip it off. And we'll try and get a nice little termination. Whenever I do this to the end of a tube, I always like to blow immediately afterwards. And that was me blowing, just real quick, real quick. Just because that thick part gets real thick real quick and you just want to kind of give it a little. So putting all that heat on the tip, adding more air. We're going to get that tube looking nice and even. Blowing it out, letting it condense, blowing it out, letting it condense. And that's looking pretty good. Now, at this point, when I was making it, I was like, okay, it's cool, but it's kind of hard to see the lines. So maybe I'll open up the tube and fume the inside. So this is some silver. And we're just gonna apply it into the flame here. I have a fuming demo back farther on my channel. If you'd like to see it, just go ahead and take a look on the profile. So after fuming it, I realized I kind of wanted that fume to stay there. So I'm going to add some dots on the inside. So I wanted to flare that out, just using centrifugal force to spin it. Now we're going to get some clear rod and apply some dots over top of that fume inside that tube. This is just basic inside out work, definitely nothing fancy, but I'm hoping that it'll give it a little bit of a background for that green to stand out against. I push that dot on and then immediately use that initial heat to try and pull it off, and then kiss it with the flame inside of the tube a bit. It's actually a good idea to use like an earplug in the end of this tube, like the end of the tube past my pinky finger, because that'll stop that hot air from coming up the tube and burning your hand. But I was just trying to be quick about this for the demo. So just continuing to cover up as much of that surface as possible. Lots of dots. And then afterwards, I'll close off the end of this tube and heat it up really aggressively from the outside, blow it out and condense it several times, and those dots will kind of become one with the glass, or one with the tube, I should say. All right, I think I'm happy with that there, so go ahead and add a bunch of heat, and I'll use my marver to roll down the edges. You can also just let gravity let it fall in like that. But yeah, the marver helps. Alright, and I'm wanting to close up that end, so I'm just putting a bunch of heat on the tip and then rolling it on the marver at a steep angle. Trying to close that hole as much as possible. Now I'm going to come in with a rod and just finish sealing it up, and then pull out that tip a little bit so I've got a nice termination. I'm really just freestyling it at this point. Not really sure what's going to happen. Just having fun with the process. So I'm going to put a bunch of heat into there and blow it out. I don't really want those dots inside to touch each other, but if it happens, it happens. I'm not that worried about it. A little bit of hydration. And I'm going to really roast it. Put all that heat into there, get it white hot, let it condense, and then I'll blow it out. See how floppy it is right now? That's exactly what we want. Really moving on us now, so lots of spinning. Somebody once told me the hotter that you can work, the better your glass is going to work out. And it's very true. But it's also true that you'd have to know how to control heat in general. You know, not everything needs to be this hot. But in this case, this is definitely what we want. So you can see now on the inside, those dots have kind of become homogeneous with the wall of that tube, and they're forming a separate pattern behind it. It's got a little bit of a blue hue. It's looking pretty fun. And this experimental green is a striking color, and it strikes best when it's underneath clear. So I figured I'd show that off a little bit and cover up some of these lines with clear stripes. Unfortunately, my camera decided it didn't want any part of that and just wanted to focus in on my hand and the tip of that rod. So just adding more clear on as many of those lines as I can. I really don't know how this is going to turn out at this point. It's just a lot of fun to experiment. And if you could see, if my camera was focusing on it, oh, there we go. That's pretty good. So now we're going to cook all of that in really aggressively. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of a difference in color underneath that clear. So just really cooking it in, slow rotation. If you want something to get really hot, slow down your rotation as much as possible while keeping it even. I actually really like to have my piece sort of on edge like that, just about to fall, and I'm kind of rotating it just behind to center. Gives you a little bit of extra control when it's super hot. Blowing it out a little bit, and I'm going to let it hang down so that I can extend this tube out a bit. Blowing a bit more. And I think we're going to work on blowing out a hole now. So we'll attach a handle. And we're just going to flare out this blow tube and attach it to that hole. That's looking pretty good. Tear off the other handle. And we'll just even up this end of the tube. So get it real hot let it fall on itself. Blow it out, let it fall on itself. And that's our finished piece. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.